How are they formed? Most likely, you've already heard about the classical conditioning. Perhaps not by that name, but by the phrase of Pavlov's dog experiment. Without going too much into details, this scientist discovered that if he introduced a stimulus that was completely neutral, say a bell ring, while the animal, in his case a dog, was partaking in another activity, in his case eating, it would, after a specific number of repetitions, associate the introduced stimulus with the activity at hand. After enough repetitions or reinforcements, he could then remove the initial unconditioned stimulus, which was in his experiment food, and still trigger the same response, which in his case was dog salivation. So eventually the same response could be achieved without the initial unconditioned stimulus. To put it plainly, the dog reacted to the sound of the bell with salivation because he associated the ringing of the bell with food, despite being no actual food around. Now, this was an immense breakthrough because it explained how the brain automatically learns and induces responses. I will dive a little deeper with associations before demonstrating why they are relevant for sleep. One response can also be a stimulus for another set of responses. We call this linkage or chaining. You experience this when one behavior leads to another behavior that leads to another behavior, and so on. However, it does not need to be a behavioral only. It can be a mental activity or a state change, and any combination or a sequence of them. The stimuli or responses can be conscious or unconscious, meaning automatic. I hope you're seeing where I'm aiming with this. That one thing leads to something, that leads to something, that leads to something, and on it goes. This is why also a big portion of our life, we're talking 80 or even 90+%, can be considered automatic. You could say that we're mainly living on an autopilot. Let me explain a bit further. One stimulus does not require only one kind of a conditioned response. Just think of your employment as a stimulus. It can have a positive responses such as emotional sensations of accomplishments, feelings of bonding in a community, a behavioral activation, but it can also have negative responses such as sensations of stress, pressure, workload, irritability. We'll call such stimuli higher order stimulus for the time being. More examples of such higher stimuli are concepts of sports, family, childhood, parents, and so on. If you're still not on board with me with this, then think of a stimulus that is emotionally intense in your case. With pain being much stronger trigger, we can use examples such as your ex-partner or a boss that you didn't like or a potential bully in your childhood. Try it for a moment. Pick one of them and a negative memory you've had or you have, like an intense argument or a disagreement, and associate with it. This is done very simply. Close your eyes and just remember it into as much detail as possible as you can. Well, don't just listen there. Close your eyes and follow along. Play the entire experience in your head. Go ahead, visualize it. Feel as if you were there. Remember what happened. Keep going. Remember what were you doing? What were others doing? Where were you? How did you feel at that time? Keep doing it. What could you see at that time around you? Okay, play the memory all the way toward the end. Play it like a movie script. Okay, I'll slowly bring the experience towards completion. Ultimately, deassociate yourself from that experience and slowly open your eyes. Did you notice any changes in you during the experience or right now? For example, in your state or even felt a different set of emotions overflowing you? This is an example where you can see that solely via a thought, which is in our case, it's a stimulus, you can initiate a lot of different responses. First are memories, depending on experience and your skill of making visualizations, you can even evoke different emotional states that could eventually lead to behavior and so on. Now, imagine the level of intensity that meeting this person that you are visualizing in real life would trigger. So with this, I hope that you can better understand the power the stimuli have in our lives. However, if we investigate closer, such higher order stimuli can be broken down to several factors of stimuli that can be investigated and addressed individually. Now, to return back to our course topic, among such higher order stimuli is also the bedroom and the concept of sleep that we'll be addressing now. To complete the point we've started, the bedroom or the bed can be classified as a stimulus that invokes certain responses. These responses trigger or are by themselves specific physical, mental, or emotional states. I hope this is not too complicated and you're still with me here. So if you're having long-term problems with sleep, then these states are the most common causes of sleep problems since they do not promote sleep but block it. And what would be an optimal state for good sleep, you might ask? To have one direct, straightforward, and strong association. The question remains, so which association? The association we're looking for, or we're looking to build, is to build a strong and direct association, meaning response, of the location, in our case this is the bedroom, all its elements, so meaning bed, smell, light, and timing, meaning evening or the night, with a specific set of sleep-inducing or sleep-promoting associations. In our case, these means associations can be carried as synonym of responses. And only one activity, which is sleep. What are sleep-inducing states we aim to develop? So the first are positive. Those are feelings and sensations of comfort, relaxation, warmth, softness, and non-aroused love and joy. Good examples of the last two are being happy, proud, optimistic, grateful, whereby thrilled, euphoric, or excited are already too activating for sleep, so they are not the best case. The second one are neutral association. Those are feelings and sensations of peace, quiet, serenity, emptiness, time for yourself, and so on. The associations that insomniacs have, on the other hand, are usually completely opposed to the ones mentioned above. So they do not need to be negative per se, but as long as they are activating on any level, so meaning physically, mentally, or emotionally, they reduce and eventually block your ability to sleep. The more severe your insomnia or sleep-related problems are, or the longer you have them, the deeper the negative associations are and more drastic shifts will be required. However, don't get discouraged now. This might seem a bit depressing and hard to fix, but it's all very manageable. Don't worry. You know what they say, identifying the real problem and knowing how to solve it is already 50% of the solution, or 50% of getting there. The remaining 50% is only following up on it, just executing it. That's what we will do the remainder of the course. So you're pretty much already halfway there. But before we start, I want to ask you something. How was in your case? Check your notes you wrote as part of the task associations. In what category do your associations fall in? Are they positive, neutral, or activating? After you have classified them, proceed to the next lesson.